Okay, everybody, this is Sheets, and we got to come up with a name for this thing. Live hockey builds. I'm just so non-creative. I need someone to come up with a name for this, where I basically just create my lineups from scratch in 10 minutes using my process. Yesterday, we got the right team, just couldn't get the right guys to hit the goals. Pittsburgh sort of million goals, but wasn't ours, so didn't quite work out yesterday. But we're going to do the same thing as we like to do, is just to show you how I'm doing it. I'm going to run my projections first. I'm all modeled up. And then, oh, that's DraftKings. That's NBA. See? I'm not going to edit this. You're going to see me screw it up. And then I'm going to run my hockeys after this. So it'll be 30 seconds longer than it otherwise would be if I did not do this. Okay. All right, so let's do it for hockey. Sorry about that. Okay. And we're ready to go. All right, so again, we're ranking everybody by values, and we're going to hopefully get a couple of stacks, or maybe at least one stack of a team that has multiple guys within these top values that we can afford. And the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to play the cheap goalie, and if we can, be a little more sensitive to who they're playing and leverage and things like that, well, that would be great too. And we have a little bit of ownership right now, so I can't be as perfect with my ownerships, but let's just take a look. And first thing is that, all right, so we have a couple of cheaper goalies in there. We have the Arizona goalie, 7,700, Pennington, 7,300. There are other goalies I'm just not picking up right now. So let's for now, well, let's see who these guys are playing first of all. That would be nice. Well, Minnesota's playing Anaheim, so they're probably not going to get too many shots. And who's the other guy? So Kemper? Who do they play? Yeah, so this could be interesting. The problem is going to be we might end up playing players in this game too. So we'll leave the goalie. Should we leave the goalie blank? Now let's put in Kemper for now, just so we have somebody. But remember, this was the matchup, by the way, that won us all the cheese last week. Arizona against San Jose. I might put in a sentimental lineup with all the dudes from that game. But we'll see. Let me take a look and see where everything is. Speaking of which, so you have Evander Kane being the top player on the slate from San Jose, and then Brett Burns is right there, and Hurdle is right there. So you already have three guys from San Jose right in the top tier. And then you also have Connor Garland from Arizona on the other side. So that's something you could do right off the bat. You could play those three guys from San Jose, right? So Kane, Burns, Hurdle, and then we would try to correlate with the right guys. The other guys that stand out here, once again, you have McKinnon up here at the top. And if you wanted to play him with the other two, you'd be talking about Rantanen, Landeskog, and Makar. Like, if you can make it work. So that's another thing we want to try to do. So we want to try to get that Colorado group in. Now, Washington, we have a couple of Washingtons too up here. So you have, this is really interesting because the big slate. So to have like so much concentration is pretty rare. So we have Sprong, Carlson, the goalie, Mantha, and Yoshi. And if you don't want to do any of that, you have all these Vegas guys all bunched together over here. So those are 1, 2, 3 totally different ways you can go. You could do the Washingtons, you could do the Vegas, as I mentioned, and we could do we could try to do the Colorado. We could try to do the San Jose. So let's try to do that. Pull up a blank lineup sheet, and I can't see these side by side. This is kind of the problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this off to the side, and I'll refer to these guys in my sheet as I go through the lineups here. So we're going to start. You want to start with the Colorado? Let's see if we can make the Colorado one work. So the guys that we identified in the spreadsheet were McKinnon, and then McCarr, right? And then wait, was that it? Oh, these other guys were a little further down the list, but let's just take a look at it. So Rantanen and Landeskog. So if we wanted to make that, well, we couldn't even do it anyway, right? So this is not something we're going to do. We can't afford it, and it's not exact. It's not 100% like the greatest value either. I mean, if you want, we could try to put, you know, McKinnon as a one-off. So he does rate to be the highest one, but he's tied. I mean, I'll show you what I mean. Like the way I'm looking at ranking these guys is that I have McKinnon actually not even the top. I have Kane as like the best play. So that's the next thing I want to try is let's try the Kane, Burns, Hurdle and see what that does. Let's get rid of McKinnon. You got to get rid of the goalie too, so it'll be opposite goalie. So we're going to do Kane, Hurdle, Burns. Was there a fourth? I forget. Let's see. Hurdle. And that was pretty much it. So those three, but I'd like to put a fourth in. So let me just see where the, I mean, I don't have to. Let me see how the correlation works here. Let me take a look at these guys. So on San Jose, and again, you think I would know this by now by heart, but you know, I got a lot of things going on. So they're all perfect. So Kane, Burns, and Hurdle are all 1-1. Okay. And so if I wanted to really fill in the rest of that stack, I would put the other guy from the line, which would be Barabanov. But for now, let's just keep it here. And then, or I could put in the power play, which would be another defenseman, Carlson. Just so we don't forget, but let's put the this guy in Barabanov. Okay, let's just see what happens. Now, the other guys that I want to look at, see, I don't have to worry about the one-off because look, I already have Kane. He's my top play anyway. Garland could end up being a good one-off to go to the opposite side. So let's just take a look. Let's take a look at the Washingtons, and then we're going to look at the. Then we'll look at the Vegases. So Washington, you would have Carlson and Sprong and Mantha. So let's see where those guys kind of correlate, because we're going to need a center. So Carlson is a defenseman. Yeah, so this is not the top line. What is Sprong? Well, Sprong is actually the top line, but he's not in the power play. That's okay. So Sprong, Carlson's the top line. And then there's Mantha and Oshie. Oshie's the top line, and Mantha is not. So we wouldn't use Mantha because not only it's not the top line, but it's also not the the power play either. So we're looking for Oshie and Sprong. And then the center on that line would be Eller, actually. But let's first put those guys I mentioned. So Carlson, not Mantha, Carlson, Oshie, and Sprong. So we're paying a lot for these defensemen. Carlson, Oshie, and oh, that's why, because Ovechkin's been out. Story. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Good for us. And then Sprong, was it? Sprong. And was he out too? Let's see his situation here. He wouldn't be in the lineup. It's not COVID related. He's day to day. So we have to watch this. Okay. So obviously we have to watch and make sure that he's in. And watch the total injury report here. That's for sure. So now we have two guys, and we could certainly make it work, right? If we play a cheap enough goalie. Who's the center I said from that top line would be Eller? See, this is one of those where we really have to watch the line release, the release of the lines, especially with the injury report. But as you can see, I mean, you could play Eller and make all this work. So you could already do something really good with Washington and San Jose. So that's kind of where I'm leaning for now. But now let's take a look at that other thing that we looked at was Vegas, because while nobody wasn't that amazing, they were all really like bunched. So we're talking about Marchessault, Stone, Tuck, Smith. These are very familiar names that we played before. Let's make sure that we click the guys that are in the right lines here. So we should probably do is play the power play together. So we would have Tuck, Marchessault, they in there? Janmark's good too. So Janmark, Tuck, Marchessault, and we'll put it in. Stone is not in the same deal. He's not in the power play. It's not exactly what I want. So it would be Marchessault, Tuck, Janmark. So let's put that in for now. Let's put in. Where's Vegas? Here. Marchessault, Tuck, and what I see, Janmark. He was the other one. So let's get rid of the Barbadov. Janmark, and you could put another one of these another one of these Vegas guys in there. So what center do we use? Stevenson was the guy that correlated with this, right? So this is how you build like a power play stack. So all these guys are within the power play. So it's not going to take much to find a cheap goalie and a one-off from the defense to get it working. Let me just see if there's anybody that stands out, by the way, while I'm thinking about this. See, most of the defensemen I have here are kind of pay-ups, but here you got Dumba at 4,200. He's not bad. It's probably where I end up going, something like that. Or you can play Graves, 3,700 down there. And just as a reminder, my favorite one-off, if it came down to it, was probably going to be Garland. If I don't use, if I'm using San Jose in my stacks. So what I'm going to probably do is, depending on my schedule, right? So the thing about the Washington is I really would have to be on top of that line. So I would have to remember at 6:45 or so to check and see what the lines were going to be. Double check the injury report and all that stuff. Where if I just eased into those later games, I can have a lot more confidence. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I'm probably going to end up just sitting on my fat ass most of the early evening, rooting against everybody, and then hoping for some Vegas, San Jose situation to the double late night hammer. That's what I'm doing. My process has led me there. I wouldn't know any other way right now. And you guys play. Hope we win. That'll do it.